Today I'm going to show you guys the Blue Trail. You can access this path a little over halfway through the southeast portion of the Red Trail from the perspective of traveling from Birchwood Lake toward the Boonton entrance of Tourne County Park. The trail itself is between 0.5 and 0.6 miles long. This path may look familiar to you guys because this is the trail that you can access Elephant Rock from, which I featured in another video on my channel. As you can see, this is Elephant Rock, which we showed you guys in a previous video, about 0.2 of a mile down the blue path off of this side path here. There's also an interesting overlook about halfway through the path. It's not as nice as the Yellow Summit Trail overlook, but it is still pretty cool to climb. And I may do that up ahead. Now when you get to this point in the trail, it's a little confusing because the markers make you want to go to the right here, but in reality you want to sort of bear right. So you continue on this path sort of straight, and then you want to go under this partially fallen tree here. And then you link up with this path and then continue straight forward. Now I've noticed sometimes changes in elevation don't always come through very well on my GoPro, but up ahead is a relatively large summit that I'm going to climb. Obviously, as I always say when I go off trail, if you do this, check yourself over for ticks. It's now April, it's officially tick season. All right, we're about 2/3 of the way up. I'll try not to get myself killed here. And of course, there's a very loud blue jay near us. One thing I've noticed, there are three things certain in life: death, taxes, and there always will be loud blue jays stalking you on a New Jersey hike. But to be fair, blue jays do play an important role in the ecosystem. They function as sort of a warning siren if there's a hawk in the area. Ironically, blue jays will also mimic hawk noises to scare away other birds if they're competing over resources. So they make a hawk type sound, all the other birds clear, and then they have the resources to themselves. So as you can see, this is kind of a nice overlook area. Obviously, there are a lot of trees, so the view isn't great. But I think if they did clear out some of these trees, this would almost be a nice area to put a few picnic tables. I don't know how well it comes through on my GoPro, but up ahead you can see sort of a mountain, the outline of a mountain through a bunch of trees. That is the Yellow Summit Trail path. And you can see the New York City skyline on a clear day like today. Technically, this overlook is noted on a Tourne County Park map. It's just not official. I think they list this as being over 700 feet, maybe 711 feet in elevation, something like that. What's really interesting is that if you know a lot of the trees that you're seeing right now, as you walk along this path and even as you go off the trail here, they're not that old. So about 50, 60 years ago, this hill could have been relatively deserted and it would have been a pretty good view. So we are now getting back on the blue path right by this partially down large tree. This path runs roughly parallel to the Red Trail. So theoretically, I don't know if you can see it, you probably can't, but if you go about 20 yards off trail, you can link up with the red path which will then take you to the pavilion parking lot. You stay on this blue path, it takes you to the upper parking lot by the east side entrance of the Tourne. Biking is very popular at the Tourne, so as always, if you hear or see a biker approaching, always get over to the right and let them pass. Just be respectful toward other people doing an activity more strenuous than yourself. This is the first day in a while where the wind hasn't been as bad. We had about 2 or 3 weeks straight with tons of wind, which wreaks havoc on my GoPro. Okay, so this is a point where we come to sort of a confusing part. In order to stay on the blue path, take a hard left here. So here, and then hard left. For what it's worth, that bird you hear in the background is a northern flicker, along with blue jays, 2 of the noisiest birds in northern New Jersey. Now, as you see, we're right by the Upper East parking lot of the Tourne. In order to stay officially on the blue path, though, you don't take this side path to the left, you continue off to the right here. And as you can see, we are now coming to the end of the Blue Trail at the Upper East parking lot of the Tourne.